Parliament is back, and among the bills on the agenda this week, two relating to medicinal cannabis. One lays the groundwork for a regulated medicinal cannabis industry. Essentially, the state would provide palliative cannabis treatment to people who are terminally ill. The other, a members' bill from the Green Party, we heard from May Heron earlier in the program that it's unlikely to have the numbers, would give people the right to grow their own medicinal cannabis with a doctor's permission. At the moment, as Helen Kelly told us, of course, medicinal cannabis is very hard to get, very limited in what's available and expensive. In fact, Sativex is the only cannabis-based medicine with consent for distribution in New Zealand. Now, 2 years ago, Tracy Yeats desperately sought to raise money to get Sativex for her daughter, Grace. Grace contracted a virus when she was, 12 years old. She now suffers from an incurable rare brain disease, which has left her unable to walk or speak very well. She also suffers dystonia, a neurological movement disorder in which severe muscle contractions result in twisting, contorting, violent spasms. 2 years after Tracy had to fundraise to get the only drug in the market, and as Parliament votes on medicinal cannabis, we asked Tracy, with Grace listening in on the speakerphone, what's changed?
Nothing's changed. It's still having to come out of our pocket. The Give a Little page that was done nearly 2 years ago now, I wouldn't have thought I would have to worry at the end of 2 years. I sort of sat back and thought, oh great, we've got 2 years worth. Surely something will have changed by the time that money runs out. But sadly nothing has. And Labor's bill allowing medical cannabis to grow your own for terminally ill only is not going to help people like Grace.
So let's go through the financial details. How much does Sativex cost you a month?
Sativex costs us $1,100 a month for a month's supply, 3 small bottles. It does depend on which pharmacy you go to, and I've heard of people having to pay $1,400 for the 3 bottles.
And what difference does it make to Grace?
It makes a huge difference to her. It really helps to calm her spasms, her dystonia. It has allowed her to overcome her spasms enough to be able to communicate with us better. Her school attendance is better. We've been able to come down on some of her drugs that have had an effect waking her up a bit. We've been able to get rid of one particular drug that really made her quite drowsy, and getting rid of that has been a huge step for her. She reminds me when it's due, asks for it. It tastes absolutely revolting. She hates the taste of it, and she has to have a jelly bean chaser afterwards. But the effect for her is such that she won't go without it.
I can hear her speaking in the background. Is this a chorus of support for you here? Is she totally backing what you're saying, Tracy?
I think she is. You're agreeing, Grace. It was a definitely.
And the thing is, the best description of Grace's dystonia and the impact on her body that I've come across is, in fact, I think your description on the Give a Little page, where you describe it as if her body was being controlled by an evil puppeteer, that the twisting and the contorting, legs, arms, torso, neck, jaw, face, even her eyelids. And so the Sativex has controlled that.
It's helping. It definitely helps. It's one of the tools we can use. And I know that it's not harmful to her. So when we do run into times when her dystonia may be becoming a little worse, or she's heading off for an operation and she will be in pain, one of the first things the doctors say is, well, increase her spray. So they're happy to use that as a pain relief, as a spasm control.
Tracy, can I just interrupt there? When the doctors say they will increase Grace's spray, that's still from your privately funded supply. It's not available to you free through public health, even when the doctors are saying, let's use more of it.
Yep, that's right. Yep. I have, WINS have increased some of her disability allowance, which will go towards paying for the Sativex, but it nowhere near covers it. It doesn't. It'd be lucky if it covers a third. So that's been a recent development. And I have heard of people being able to get it through ACC, but I'm always being told that PharmAct will never look at funding it.
So what do you want to say to our politicians as they prepare to vote? What is it that you want, that you think is fair and rational and reasonable for you and for Grace?
Grace needs to have affordable access to cannabis that is helping her achieve a quality of life that is impossible otherwise. We can't afford to keep paying this. Labor's bill doesn't help people like Grace. She is not terminally ill. She is not going to die within the next 12 months, so that completely bypasses people like Grace. We need to be able to grow our own to keep the cost down. I think that would be a perfectly viable solution. That would also enable us to be able to grow a plant that was specially bred to cover the specific symptoms that Grace has. There's a huge science behind it. There's different plants that have different effects, that have different ratios of THC, CBD and other components. Using the whole plant also is better than an extract like Sativex. It seems like a no-brainer to me. I know for Grace that I probably do not give her as much Sativex as she needs, because we'd get through it too fast.
So the cost is an absolute barrier for you.
Oh, it is. And I would have thought, 2 years have gone by, things would have changed by now, but nothing has. Absolutely nothing has.
That is Tracy Yeats, Grace's mum, Tracy, and Grace will be heading over the hill from the Wairarapa to Wellington to sit in Parliament for the vote on that members'